Hi class, welcome back from the break. Hope you all got a little fresh air or walked the dog or anything like that. I, I was busy finishing off this guy. You could see now I used one more hit of that stencil I had made and it worked out really well. It had, so it's got this wonderful kind of grayish white shadow behind it. It's got this really, I'm glad I did it, a darker, almost like a charcoal color right on top. So it really stands out now. Now remember, just for yourselves, a lot of times I say paint the ground first, or in this case, if you use charcoal paper or Canson paper, make sure that you go ahead and probably mix a color very similar to that, because once you, as you know from your projects, once you put it on that paper or stuff, whatever little, mishaps or something, like you can see I put my hand in there, show up. So I'll go back later and mix this color of the ground and just paint that over. But that's one of the pluses for always painting your ground. Just like when we do our big layouts, I make sure that even if I'm painting it white, I'll paint it white. So then if I have any little mishap or something, I can fix it. Okay? Good. Now, our next project, which is in the same theme, it's floral stencils. So you can see I went to the florist this weekend and got a nice array of different flowers. Now remember, I tried to get things that were kind of flatter. I mean, it's not necessarily to have a hydrangea or that type of thing, because what we're doing is we're kind of cheating a little. So what I started doing is I just put these in the Xerox, okay? So again, I put them in the Xerox so I get the general shape. If I have to add extra leaves or something like that, it's no problem. You can even see where some of the lining of the leaves showed up here. And then what I do is, I can't quite figure out this one. It's got the, it almost looks like it's one of those Brillo pads or something, but green, and it's got the same leaves as a carnation. So it's a little bizarre, but it's kind of fun. So from there, I go ahead and then I draw this up, again on a light box, or if you don't have a light box, put it against the window and just draw the outline of this. You can see where I went to this step next, drawing the outline. There's that kind of crazy looking one. And then from there, now I did this on heavier paper. So it's definitely cardstock, still light, but it actually goes through the Xerox also, so that's really good. But you can see this green shrubbery here, that's that, and it's just enough to give a great silhouette, okay? Again, you can see where I cut in on certain parts, and the idea is, you give a feeling of the flowers that you got, but at the same time, add extra leaves if you need to, add extra. I could always, in something like this, I could always go back with the pieces I cut out and put them in there, okay? Or, also, at the end of everything, go back and you can use whatever paints and do it that way too. But the whole point of this is to kind of have a silhouette that keeps going back and forth. So here is, I already did the first layer, so I'll be ready for you guys. I did the first layer. I did a really kind of lemony yellow. So you can see where I took the negative. This is a whole kind of study in negative and positives. So I'm just going to pull this guy off now. And again, I've actually, I've done this one second time I used that. So the cardstock really holds up well. But you can see now I've got this wonderful negative space going on here. Again, I put a little tape on the other underside just to hold it together. And again, if you use the freezer paper, which we had put down, if you use the freezer paper, that also, if you put it down kind of the shiny side, and then you iron it, and you get a really wonderful, like sticking. So this way, you know, like some of this gets a little awkward, but always with these projects, as you can see in my palette, I have a little bit of the ground left, okay? In case I've got to go back and touch up or anything like that, you know, I'm ready to do that. Again, you can see where I put the little bits of tape in here, just peeling them off. I've got, I'll show you this in a second, just going to peel this guy off. And remember, when you're painting this over, it itself holds the stencil down just from what you're doing. But now I've got a whole thing to work with here, okay? So this is actually my first layer. And I've got, you can use one flower. I mean, you could see any of these would be fine. Just keep repeating. I used about 4 to give you a variety. Now, what I'm going to do is, since I went through this already, I'm going to now get, I would get about 3 colors or 4 colors that are, you know, relate to each other to a degree, but work well with each other. That's probably more the point, okay? So I'm going to, right now, just stirring this up again. I want to kind of like pale, not pale pink, but just a nice weight of kind of like a baby pink in here. Of course, the spring, we always do these kind of pastel to bright colors. We can't help ourselves. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these stencils. Now remember, I had cut these all out by hand, so I definitely want to use it again. So I'm going to go right up in here and get this. We're using kind of the negative, so you can see how this is working. I'm just pushing this down. And now I'm ready to go. Now remember, when you can do this with a brayer again. So I think I'll do this one with a brayer. But also, definitely, I'm going to actually show you this in a second. I'm doing my first layer with the brayer. But I also want you to realize that you can also, this is a really good time to go back in and with a sponge, you can use a little bubble wrap. You know, I've got all these things here. And as I'm pushing down, you know, pat this out. It's going to take on a whole different feeling now that I'm using a sponge, okay? Remember, it's going to, just pull that off again. So already, just by using the sponge, it's got a kind of almost translucent effect to it, okay? So, now remember, try to get these colors kind of in sync. I'm going to now, in other times I would let this dry and then go back. But since I'm doing a video and stuff, I'm going to just go ahead and continue on, okay? Now, I've got that wonderful kind of pink, baby pink color going on now. So now I'm going to actually take the little bit of the bubble wrap I told you about earlier and just get this down on the next one, okay? So I'm going to kind of want to get this wonderful cantaloupe color on here. And again, place your flowers. You can remember, I'm using a smaller piece of paper because of the video. But, you know, use a nice big piece if you like, and you could really get a good design out of that, okay? So all of a sudden, now be careful, because you can see where my hands could be going into the other territory, but I'm getting this kind of negative effect from the bubble wrap, okay? Getting that kind of different, a whole different kind of texture. Now what I'm also going to do, just because I can't help myself, I'm going to just put a little bit of brayering on this. I want to be sure that one part gets covered, okay? So I've got a combination here. And I'm going to one more hit on that. And again, here I've got another nice silhouette going on here. Okay? Now you can see, because that's very important. I like the idea that having a bit of the ground coming through. Now remember, if we did this on canson paper or any other color, let's say even if you chose like a dark blue or any kind of color, that ground would come through. So, you know, as long as you cover it. But you can keep this all kind of pastel, or you can go deeper in this. Since I've already started in this route, I am actually going to do one other tone of this. I'm going to, you know, because again, I want these to kind of work together. So I am going to add a little bit of a deeper purple on this. So now remember, I've got actually 3 different ink pads going on here. So if I have to go back, I've always got an extra any color, because you know you can't help yourself sometimes. You know, hitting it with your hand or something like that. So I've got this. I'm going to actually hit it just a little bit more with this purple. Things do happen. Okay. So I'm going to take another stencil that I did. I already cut it out. Now remember, X-Acto knife, there are stencil cutters actually, so you can go that route if you'd like. And I've got this wonderful kind of shrubbery piece I got here, and I'm going to lay that right on top of the other flower at a different angle, okay? Because that way, I still got some of the white coming through, but I've got a whole different thing. And at this time, I'm actually going to brayer this to start. Get, you know, now remember, if I was doing this a little bit more timely, I would probably wait between different colors, because that way you get it to dry. Although at the same time, this has a whole different effect. I'm actually going to take my bubble wrap again, just press that in. A good thing too is to make the bubble wrap really show up now. I'm actually glad that I put the brayer first, because this bubble wrap actually takes off the paint. And that's why, you know, for this lesson it said, you know, any kind of saran wrap or any kind of cling wrap. And you can see now, I've got this really nice kind of image going on. Okay? Now, I could probably use one more, although I like this kind of feeling I got. Now remember, you've got the negatives of these also. So you can, you know, cut another one out. I'm doing this as a pattern, so I'm actually going to take one that I had just used, and I'm actually going to put this down again and just brayer this, because remember, I had this on the other side. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this. I'm going to go back into my pink color here. Just put that on there. Now remember, I like this thing a lot. I actually had it, but I forgot to use it. It's all foam, so it's just like a little foam tube, and it really works, especially a project like this. Because sometimes, you know, in the brayer, it's like too strong of a surface. And here, now I'm playing with this, and you've got a nice kind of play of flowers, okay? Again, I'm going to go back on some of these. I can see where some of the white that we did on the first one shows through. And now to give it one last jolt of color, I am going to just give it, I'm going to put a little blue in this. Now again, you could have your colors ahead of time, or just let it, you know, kind of be more spontaneous. I like the spontaneity of doing, you know, a whole different thing. So I'm going to brayer this up again. You know, it gets it more, when you add it on the brush, it really gives it a good coating, okay? So I'm going to take another one of the guys I just used. And I am gonna, you can imagine what a mess my studio is. But it's all in the name of art. And I'm actually going to put this down here a little, okay? So I've already got some of the white going on. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a kick with this new color here. Now you can make this like a bouquet. Ooh, I love that. Okay, actually I'm going to add more to this. You can give it a little kick. You know, with this other color, you can make it like a bouquet, so you'd have all the stems going and this and that. I'm going to do it, ooh, I really like that. I'm going to do it like an all over. Now remember, I'm actually going to hit it one other little time right here. Remember when we did the, like it. Okay, remember when we did the technique with the foam, the shaving foam. We had the different tones going on in this. You can, depending on what you use, whether it's bubble wrap, whether it's the brayer, or anything else, that cling wrap, you can see it really gives a wonderful texture. And each one now is a little bit different and still using that. Now, since I'm doing it all over now, I'm going to do one more hit of this guy. I'm actually going to have it go the other way, because I need a little bit of that orange that I used before. This is a good time to, I'm just going to put a little bit of that in here, you know, as part of the texture, and then I'm going to hit it. Okay. And then I'm going to just hit a little bit of this kind of lavender color in there, mess it up a bit. Going to hit it with a sponge. And now you can see I made a nice all over. Okay? Okay, really enjoy this class. And remember, doing this a little speedy, but between hits of color and between stencils, you can let them dry or try them both ways. Another one that I previously done, I did it more like they were just kind of jumping out of the same vase, okay? Again, you can use the background here and then these great different textures. Okay? Okay, enjoy this and I'll see you in a bit.